My name's Annette. I'm from Rockhampton in Queensland, and I just want to thank you for this opportunity to share a presentation that I've done. So it's called Unspoken Words, Creative Letters to Acknowledge Elders of my past and present. Okay, so today I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land that we are gathering on today, the Kaurna people and their elders past, present and future. I would like to take this opportunity to extend my respect to elders of other Aboriginal traditional lands, the elders of the Torres Strait Islander and South Sea Islander community of Adelaide, elders of the multiple cultures who live in Adelaide and elders who are present with us today. I'd like to pay my respects to all of the elders that have in some way, shape or form contributed to my life journey. They have laid the guiding foundations down to strengthen the structures of future generations, injecting cultural knowledges of the past, present and future. I would also like to acknowledge that I have been given permission by my Woorabinda and Rockhampton elders to share the cultural knowledge and information that is within the stories that I share with you today. Yarning my story. So through my elders of my past, I have a spiritual connection with Tanna Island in Vanuatu, Murray Island in the Torres Strait Islands, and the Gladstone area in central Queensland of the Bailey Nation. From the mighty seas to the connecting rivers, connecting creeks and rivers to the rich soils of the land. Through the elders of my present, I share a connection as they guide and teach me by passing on valuable knowledge that injects sustainability in our culture. Through the elders of my future, I clear the pathways to knowledge to allow individual and collective growth, to build upon my foundation, ensuring that my connection and my stories are not washed away in the misty rains of central Queensland. My identity connects me to my grandparents, my parents, my siblings, my partner, my children, my extended family, my elders, my friends and my community. Putting pen to paper. So a person who I admire and respect once told me that I had strength in the skill of writing letters. I went away and I thought, well, who am I going to write letters to? What would I write? Where would I write it? When? And why? Why would I write these letters? So I wrote letters to many elders and many people. And I suppose I connected it to remembering conversations, externalization, documentations, letter writing, and enabling exchange, alternative stories, landscape of identity and landscape of action. So I wrote a letter to a significant ancestor. I also wrote a letter to a problem that I was having in my life, and a letter to spark the next conversation. So I also sought guidance and approval from my elders. So writing through hard times, some of us write our way through hard times. One of us said, "When I am struggling, I spend time alone. I cry and then I write down everything. I want to say in my book and my writing becomes my friend." Another one of our group spoke of writing to her friend. Some time ago, I opened a restaurant with 4 of my friends, but some of them didn't do their jobs. At first I tried to cover for them, and then I asked my friends to change. But it did not work. Finally, I wrote a note to my friend, and after she read the note, things started to change. We overcame our problems. Writing is a friend to some of us in hard times. So I'd like to share with you a letter that I wrote to my grandfather, my great-grandfather. I wrote a letter to him because his life journey fascinated me. And I wrote this letter while sitting on a boat in the Fitzroy River back home. So my hopes and my dreams for this letter is that I get to share it with family, paying tribute to him and his life journey. Hey Pop, this letter has been a long time coming. Thank you. Thank you for your courage, your resilience, your persistence, your wisdom and your strength in your story of survival. I've had the honour and privilege of sitting down with family and having yarns of the old days. The way that some stories are told, I can easily imagine myself being there. The story of you being blackbirded to Australia as a young boy at around the tender age of 10, to work in the cane fields for the young brothers at Ferrymead Plantation at Bundaberg fascinates me, as from what the elders of the family have said, this is the second time that you had embarked on your long trip to Australia. The first time you were not allowed to disembark as they thought that you were too young. I wish I could have a conversation with you and ask you all about it. I often wonder, if you were to tell me your story, how, when, and where you would tell me. What words would you use to describe your life journey? Many family members have used the words courageous, important, resilience, persistence, wise and strong. How does this fit for you? Does this fit with you at all? If not, what words would you use? What words would be more comfortable with you? What does this say about your values? What does this say about your hopes and your dreams? Why was this important to you? Who else knows this? Can you tell me about another time in your life that these words were very evident? In exchange, I will tell you about my journey and the influence that you have had on me. I can only hope that you are as proud of me as I am proud of you. You and Nan would be beaming with pride to know that your strength, your resilience, your courage, your pride, your persistence, and wisdom has trickled down through your future generations that span over 6 Australian generations of the Yayi family. If you look at the intricate bloodlines of our family tree, you will notice that both of your names are carried throughout the 6 generations. I am one of the many 3rd Australian generations of the Yayi family. My connection to you derives from the bloodline of your son Daniel, to his daughter, your granddaughter Sylvia, and her daughter and your great-granddaughter, me. I know that these yarns will take more than a few letters, but if you give me permission, I would like to continue to pay tribute to you and your life journey. I love you, Poppy. Annette. So the next letter that I want to share with you is a letter that is about what was going on in my life at the time. I suppose I went down to the river and sat by that river and let the words come to me. It was actually not long after we had a big flood in Rockhampton. Dear streams of stress. Hello, my old acquaintance. Today is the day. Reflecting on our relationship, I have numerous memories of our paths crossing throughout many aspects of my life. You seem to creepily crawl in and out of my life accompanied by your nasty, sly comrades, wanting to take up my precious time. I wonder where you go to rejuvenate your strength, to come back to terrorise me with your evil ways. The effects that you have had on my life have astonished my good friends, Miss Resilience, Mr. Energy, Mrs. Hope, Master Happiness, Professor Knowledge, and Miss Encouragement, as they know that I can skillfully handle the effects of having you in my life. The consequences of having you in my life have been phenomenal. There were times when I did not eat a healthy diet or even eat regularly. I did not sleep well. I could not concentrate. I cried out of frustration and I felt under pressure. You encouraged me when I isolated myself from family and friends. I felt so frustrated and I did not perform to my full potential. Oh, how easily I allowed you to let me feel useless. I was on edge. I felt like giving up so many times and not caring about myself or my family or my friends. You made me feel that I am not good enough. The feeling of suffocation that I have endured over the many years is something that I cannot erase. You try to keep me in a place of despair, whispering those familiar, persuasive, acidic words, wanting and willing me to stay in that place of not doing anything, keeping me isolated from my hopes and my dreams. You tell me that I'm not worthy, that I do not deserve to enjoy time with friends, receive satisfaction from my work, or have enjoyment within various aspects of my life. It is times when you are constantly whispering to me bitter words, causing me to be on edge and to feel the darkness closing in on me. When I try to achieve success, you become noisier and louder and start yelling at me, causing me to have a headache, ensuring that I do not spend time with or have fun with my friends and family. You take advantage of my vulnerability, my desperation, my willingness to be quiet. You depend on the actions of Miss Frightened, Mr. Busy, Mrs. Loneliness, Dr. Frustration, Master Anxiety, Madam Pressure, and your other mob to ensure that you are successful in affecting all aspects of my life. Why? How? When? Where? And who? You intrigue me. I want to know more. I want to know what makes you tick, what makes you you. Why is it so important to you that I do not spend time with my kids, my family, and my partner? When I hold the flame of hope up to the darkness, what effect does this have on your strength to control my life? What does it mean for you to see me smile, hear me laugh, notice that there are times that you are losing grip of the hold that you have over me? I have noticed that when my partner, family, and friends are with me, it upsets you to the point where you are physically sick and you do not have the energy to forcibly penetrate the umbrellas of love and the shield of protection. I stand proudly to embrace the warmth of the umbrellas of love and shield of protection. I remember what it feels like to have laughter in front of my life, to notice the beautiful smiling faces that help to illuminate my journey by shining the flame of hope on my dreaming tracks. Have you ever entertained the notion that I do not need you in my life? I take comfort in knowing that I have grown stronger through my experiences with you and know that I can draw on my family, skills, hopes, friends and dreams to ensure that I can confidently look you in the eye, wish you well on your journey and inform you that you're not welcome here anymore. I am stronger from all of our interactions. I know your tricks, your connections and how you work, and wanted to let you know that next time you rear your ugly head, I will be ready for you. Foe forever, flame of hope. So the next letter that I want to share with you, I wrote this letter to give praise, honour and acknowledgement to an elder who has in so many ways paved the way for the future generations of tomorrow. I wrote this letter a few days after talking to your wife. Dear Uncle, looking back on our history, I finally remember the day that I had the privilege of meeting you like it was yesterday. I remember standing in the red dust of Woorabinda, watching people pass by, and on occasion, a wide-haired stinky mutt would either be following someone or wandering around as Milton was speaking to us in front of the Woorabinda Red Cross building. Thinking back to this moment in time, I can close my eyes and imagine standing in that very same spot, remembering what the burning sensation felt like on my exposed skin, causing my skin to need and want a soft, cool breeze to ease the sting of the scorching sun. To see what is unfolding in my surroundings, to hear the laughter, chatter, animals, and cars ringing through the air. You came out of nowhere, approaching us with a stern look on your face. I watched you walk towards us, hobbling from side to side, with the assistance of your sturdy, crooked, polished walking stick, wearing your shiny black leather cap, blowing cigarette smoke out of your mouth and letting it waft in and out of the upper body crevices, swirling as if it was dancing on your clothes. You stopped within centimetres of us, and Milton introduced you as Uncle Bill, an influential elder in the community and the local radio station announcer. We all nodded at each other. You looked my work colleague up and down, and then you looked me up and down and asked, where were we from? Did we get permission to come to Woorabinda? Who did we consult with before we came into this community? I was shocked. Kylie and I looked at each other in despair, not knowing what to say or what to do after what felt like an eternity of awkward silence. In our defence, I apologised for the intrusion, as we were led to believe that our manager had consulted with the appropriate people on behalf of the organisation that we were representing on that particular day. Of course, questions were asked in regards to whom exactly were we talking about, and when I mentioned our manager's name, Milton said, "No, we haven't heard anything. We haven't spoken to that person." Milton and yourself were quick to let us know that it is also a requirement that all staff who represent visiting organisations will need to spend a night in the bush with yourself and Milton, or other elders of the Woorabinda community, and sit around the campfire and learn an overview of the Woorabinda history and what it is like for the people, for the Woorabinda community in modern times. Once a person survives the night and does a cultural awareness program, then they are allowed to obtain a black card, which allows them to visit the Woorabinda community on a valid annual pass. I left Woorabinda bewildered at what had just happened. Was it a case of breakdown in communication, or was it more than that? Where did that come from? When did this become important to you? And what does this say? What is important to you? Who in your life would know that this is important to you? What does this say about your values? And what does this tell me about your hopes and your dreams for you, your family, and for your people and your community? It was a couple of weeks later that I returned with a nervous feeling in the pit of my stomach, accompanied by my manager, who decided that we would go to the Red Cross building and yarn to Milton in the hope that you might be there. My manager wanted clarification on what you were saying in regards to the Woorabinda community black card, and to find out what that means for us as weekly visitors to the Woorabinda community. Unfortunately, I didn't see you that day, or Milton for that matter. It was a few months later that I officially met you and was able to have an informative conversation with you. You weren't as scary as I remembered you to be. It was at this moment in time that I saw you with your beautiful wife, Annie Rose. We were all attending a community meeting, and this was the first time I saw how passionate you and your wife, Annie Rose, were in regards to the issues that affected you both as individuals and as well as citizens of the Woorabinda community. You and Annie Rose were amazing to watch. I hung on your every word, the way you articulated your sentences. This gave me an insight into what is important to you. Listening and watching you both made me think about the first time I had met you. Your words were echoing in my head. What stood out for me was the values that you held so dear to your heart, the hopes and dreams that you had for you and Annie Rose, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, as well as your extended family, and also the Woorabinda community. Over a period of time, a special bond developed and we became very close, which allowed space for us to have a lot of yarns. Some were sad, happy, scary, exciting, and funny. But now that I think back and remember them, they all had a common theme of what was important to you. I loved coming over and sitting on your veranda with you and Annie Rose, listening to your yarns about what it was like for you to live and witness the struggles of your parents. What it was like for you as a boy and also for your father to endure pain and suffering of being removed from your homeland and sent to Woorabinda in the early 1900s, where there were major cultural and environmental changes. A place where you and your father didn't know anyone and had to quickly adapt. Not only were you dealing with loss, but also isolation and assimilation. How did you and your father survive? If you could describe it in one word, what would that be? A lot of words come to my mind, but I don't know if that would sit well with you. I was very interested to know about how you would describe that feeling, those actions that you and your father took to survive emotionally and physically in a foreign terrain. You spoke of the times when you would sit and watch your father for hours, listening to his stories. You told me that you did that to learn his knowledge and skills and to hear the story of his people, to stay connected to your ancestors. These strong values and beliefs are instilled in you, and you have passed these on to younger generations. This resonates with me as I have done the same with my children. I think this is the reason why I naturally gravitated toward you and Auntie Rose. Thank you, Uncle, for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with me. For this, I will be eternally grateful. I will cherish our precious moments together and know that you will always be there to guide me. With love, honour and respect, Annette. So the next letter that I want to share with you is a letter that I wrote to a Central Queensland icon. She is the lady who is the last known survivor of the Taroom to Woorabinda walk that happened in the early 1900s. So her name's Auntie Ivy. Auntie Ivy, when I'm in your presence, I feel warmth in my heart that I know is pure. You are an amazing woman who I'm very proud and privileged to know. I want to thank you for welcoming me into your life and giving me a glimpse of what life was like as a young Aboriginal girl in Taroom and Woorabinda in the 1920s. Your story, along with many other stories of the stolen generations, are the true history of this so-called lucky country, Australia. What stands out for me when you, Auntie Koi and Uncle Jeff yarn stories are the common threads of resilience, strength, wisdom, knowledge, love, honour, laughter, protection, culture, skills, hope, values, dreams and connections. These may not resonate with you, and if you were to use one word that comes to mind, when you think about your life, what would that be? Where does that come from? Why is this important to you? When did this become an important part of your life? What effect has this had on your life? And who else knows that this is important to you? I suppose it is at this point in time that if we were sitting at your table, I would go and put the kettle on and make another pot of tea. It's as if the pot of tea relaxes you enough to let your guard down to fully open up to the notion of alternative stories. What does this say about your hopes and dreams? Can you tell me what that would look like? If you were to paint a picture about your hopes and dreams, what colours would the painting be? I would be your highest bidder and cherish your painting of hopes and dreams. I would respectfully like to acknowledge you as a Central Queensland icon. You are a beautiful, humble woman who has endured and carried the struggles of Taroom and Woorabinda on your shoulders. You will be rightfully acknowledged throughout Australia, and your name will reverberate through many generations to come. I will always humbly seek your tender hand and guidance, with much love and respect, Annette. So I wrote these letters, and after many conversations, I was asked where are you going to go from here. So I thought about it, and I thought what I will do is actually share these letters with these people that I wrote the letters to, and I shared the letter that I wrote to Uncle Bill with his wife, Auntie Rose, and the effect that had on her was it was emotional, and it was it was an honour to write that letter. So Aunt has actually asked me to print the letter out and put it in a frame, and she's going to place it in her bedroom beside her bed. I wrote that letter to Uncle Bill, and I started writing that letter, and then we actually got the news of Uncle Bill had passed away. So that was a hard letter for me to write, and it meant so much more when I gave that letter to Auntie Rose. So the going on from there, I thought I would do the same with everybody else. So I did that, and then I suppose it gave me an idea of following this up with the Descendants Project, which will involve youth writing letters to their elders, and also involving elders, and the elders that they write the letters to, and that will be the second group. And so that the group of elders will then respond and write letters back or do a video, and so that's the next project from this. So in closing, I suppose I'd like to acknowledge my narrative family for their love and their support and encouragement throughout my struggles in the first block. So I wrote a letter to the class and the Dulwich staff. So, hello everyone. I'm leaving this beautiful scenery of Adelaide behind today, flying across the many multicoloured landscapes of Australia. I sit quietly waiting to board my flight. I'm reflecting on the past 2 weeks of the tears and laughter. I would like to thank you all for caring and sharing with me many aspects of your lives. You are all amazing people, and I'm truly thankful for this opportunity to have met you. You have inspired me with your stories. I look forward to growing with you all, and navigating our futures together, not only as various nations across this gorgeous planet, striving towards a common goal, but as a race, one race, the human race. Stay strong, stay deadly, stay safe. Love, Annette.